Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and today we're going to be looking at some hands from 20NL and 50NL that I have played on an iPoker skin. All of them are hands where I have called a river bet because I think we should be not calling lots of large river bets generally in microstakes cash game poker. So I wasn't going to make a video today. Then that absolute balding it fucker Duesenberg trolled me for a fold I made in the party poker video, and it made me think, fuck you, I'm going to prove to you that we shouldn't be calling too often versus late street aggression or versus like any kind of aggression in spots where villains aren't meant to be aggressive or shouldn't be aggressive, just to try and prove a point to him. I probably won't remember many of these hands. They've been taken from over the month. There weren't many to choose from because I'm a nit and I don't call many large bets or many river bets unless I'm puking or tilting or I have a specific read. So there's lots of these I probably won't remember, and hopefully I'm not going to look back in too much horror at some of the lines I've taken, because this month so far, financially, in terms of how much money I've made, has been completely fine. Very standard, maybe slightly above standard, but I don't feel like I've performed to my best. But who does? Who does all of the time, I guess. So yeah, if you're a regular viewer, you know the drill. Please do hit like. If you're not a regular viewer, hit like anyway. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, just do that anyway. It's meant to help the channel. As some other streamers say it, other YouTube video makers say, oh, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Whatever, do that if you want to. If you don't, then I can't force you. And do leave some comments as well, because I do enjoy reading the comments. So without further ado, let's crack on. We've got the ace-8 of clubs here. We have 3x in the middle position. We get a call from somebody playing interesting stats and big blind, who for some reason we don't have stats on. We flop ourselves an ace. Oh, by the way, these pots are in ascending order, so we're just going to, every pot is going to be bigger than the last one. So we're going from the smallest pots of the month so far up to the biggest pots. So hopefully it'll get more interesting as we go through the video and build to a nice crescendo. So we face a check. We bet 84 cents. Should we do this in big blinds? No, because then we won't know whether we're playing 20 or 50, will we? And our opponent check min raises us. We have top pair. We have some backdoor draw. Well, we have a backdoor draw. This is not fun from the off, I guess, when we get check min raised. But we are playing someone who, makes the decision to play 66% of his hands. So we're not dealing with the slide rule genius here. So we call, but we don't love it. Turn pairs the board. Our opponent then bets 1/3 pot. I mean, we cannot be in love with this situation. We don't have a particularly good kicker. Our backdoor draw's gone tits up. But again, we're dealing with the first class fucking moron here. So I guess we probably can't fold still. Although what we actually beat, apart from air, is pretty unclear at this point. We're chopping with that ace-x that's lower than the 10. We're beating some king queens, king jacks, I guess, but do people really play king queen, king jack this way? Probably not. So basically we're beating air, and that's about it. We don't beat a value hand, I don't think. 7 on the river. An opponent bombs it. To me, come on, Reg, this is just a movement. I know we're not going to fold, because this is a video where we call all rivers. But this is monumentally shit from me. Monumentally shit. We literally only beat bluffs in this spot. And what really takes a check min raise flop, bet turn, bomb river line here as a bluff. There's just no draws out there except like 3 deuce, 4 deuce. Which this villain could have pre-flop, but then would he take this line? I don't care if I win or lose. This is a dog shit call, in my opinion. And, of course, our opponent had a strong hand. Reg, you're a fucking moron. Yeah, that's just not good. It's just, there's nothing good to say about that. There's probably going to be a few hands in here that are like, what are you fucking doing, Reg? What are you fucking doing? Anyway, On to the next one. We have the ace queen off in middle position again. We have someone who's posted here. We make it 5 big blinds, or €1. We get a call from a 42/10 player in the small blind. Under fold, we flop ourselves an ace. Bet 144. I think we should probably just go a bit bigger here. I mean, this guy's got an ace, he's just not folding it, and there's lots of aces he can have that are worse than ours. Not many draws out there, but I think we should just go bigger, like 180, 190, something like that. There's no reason to go this like 60% pot sizing against a weaker player. He calls. Turns to 6. He checks. Again, we go with 60% pot. I think this is during my 60% pot era. At the time, I had my betting buttons set at 35%, 60%, 85%, I think, and 110%, something like that. I've since adjusted that so to make my like bigger bets slightly bigger, if you will. This was classed as like my medium-sized bet. I think it's too small again. I think we should just go a little bit bigger here. Our opponent again calls. King on the river, and he now leads into us for half pot. I mean, we know we're going to call here because this is a calling video. It's not anything else video. I think the question here is, are there any raises? There's certainly no folds here. If our opponent's value betting, maybe we'll beat. Maybe he's just block betting a worse ace. I mean, is it completely unreasonable to think he could have like ace, jack, ace 10 here? Probably not. Against somebody playing 42-10. The only way the king really improves him if he's got like maybe ace king, or there's like the 2 combos of king 8 suited out of the small blind. Probably not. We're dealing against like a small blind range here, which probably has a lot of like ace X in there, pocket pairs, maybe some suited connectors from a player with these stats. There's no folding our hand. The question is, can we just raise here? And if we do raise, does this player call with? Will he call another €10 with ace jack? And I don't know. I mean, obviously I just pussy out and I just call, but I think maybe we could get a raise in there. As it happens, we would not have got any more action because our opponent had literally the worst hand he's ever going to turn up with. Yeah, so that's what we had so far. We've had one. Let's keep a scorecard. Let's keep a scorecard of this. We've got bluffs and thingy, so it's 1-1 on bluffs versus value when we're facing a river bet. Let's see what it ends up being. Here we're playing a 50 table. We have someone I've got tagged orange. That's my tag for like weaker reg. That's mostly based on 3-bet percentages rather than anything else. And we've got another villain up here who's got the pink tag, which is aggressive reg. Although he hasn't got much of a 3-bet percentage, he is playing like, in my opinion, too wide. So we've 3-bet this guy. I'm not sure why we would do this. We've got a fish in the big blind. Yeah, not sure I love this 3-bet. I think because of the presence of this guy, we should just call this hand and let this guy come in the pot. I mean, I guess 3-betting this can't be terrible pre-flop. Maybe it's because I don't want to be squeezed by this fucker who's pretty aggressive. Which one is this? No, I shouldn't be using names really. Anyways, we 3-bet here, and I think I prefer fold, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why these stats are good on one player here. There it is down there. Let me just sort this. What are you doing down there? That's where you need to be. So anyway, we did 3-bet. We get a cold call anyway from this light blue tag player in the big blind, and then the raiser comes along. We flop ourselves a top pair. We get donked into half pot, which is weird to say the least. I mean, I think raising's going to be too aggressive here. I think we want to try and keep this guy in too. If we raise here, this guy probably folds most everything, and we allow this guy to play pretty well against us. Like in terms of when he's beat, he just gets to fold unless he's got a flush draw, and when he's got the best hand, he just gets to, you know, either reopen the betting and three betters, or just call and let us bluff our chips off, or value bet worse hands. So I think we just have a call here. Turn is a 7 of diamonds. Our opponent now checks after donking half pot. It would really stink to get raised here. Really stink. But do we want to like bet our hand for, well, protection's bullshit, because if he's got any kind of draw, he's not going to fold it. So protection's nonsense. But do we just bet our hand just like to charge draws to make sure he doesn't realise all of his equity cheaply if he does have something like a flush draw or maybe a worse jack? The problem is that it really does stink if we get raised. But do we need to bet? I think against a fish here we bet. I think against a regular, I think we just, I don't know. There's merit to both. Checking back means you definitely don't get raised, but your opponent then gets to realise all their equity. Betting means we can get some thinnish value. We do get to charge draws. We do maybe get him to fold some equity, but then we reopen ourselves to the potential check raise on this board, which maybe someone could do. He could like donk this flop and go for a check raise on the turn. That's not a very common line, but it's not completely uncommon. It used to be called the stacker donk line back in the day. It used to work really well. You know, you donk a flop with a very strong hand, and then you check turn to check raise against someone who will maybe value better worse hand. I suspect, knowing me as I do, I suspect I'm just going to check back here and see rivers. We do bet ourselves some trips. Our opponent then blocks for 1/3 pot. And we know we're just going to call here, but the question is, should we have raised? We know it's a video where we're not going to raise, but should we raise here? And if we raise, what size should we raise to? What worse hands will call? I mean, I guess given how wet the board's been and we haven't been super active, we could look a bit bluffy if we raised here. If we raise, are we raise folding or are we raise calling? I think raise calling would be horrific. Because I think if he's just got like a worse jack, if he's got trips or worse, he either plays call or fold on the river. He doesn't play 3-bet, I don't think. So I think we have a very safe raise here. I don't know why I didn't raise, other than the fact that I'm a fucking weak type fuckwit on the river. I think this is a very safe raise fold, just like raise to 30, fold to a shove. But we didn't, we just called because weak type nits for the win. And our opponent had the jack 9, which absolutely would have cleared us off on the river without question. Interesting donk from him on the flop. I don't really understand it. But yeah, maybe we missed some value there. We have the king 10 offsuit here. We have somebody playing 93% of hands over a small sample. We're going to attempt to isolate. We fail to isolate. We get another orange tag regular joining us from the small blind, and then the whale obviously comes along. Flop ourselves an open ender. Check, check. We bet. Don't think we need to go that big in a multi-way pot. I think we could probably get away with betting like 40-something% here. We just get to that, probably folds out air, and it does a job of building a pot for if we improve. So I think we could have bet slightly small here, but I am nitpicking. We get called out of the small blind, and we get called from this guy. So a small bet wouldn't have done us that much good. 6 of spades on the turn. He goes check, check. Yeah, we're obviously going to check back here, which we do. We river ourselves a straight. Villain checks. This guy bets really big on the river. 93-37, 96-37. There's nothing to do but consider raising or calling here. Obviously, again, we already know I'm not raising, but I guess someone playing 93-37, I think we probably should. I think this is way, way, way too weak. Yeah, we should just raise here. Just don't be a fucking pussy. Yeah. Then we probably get paid off too. So it's another week. I forgot all the hands now. I forgot to keep a tally on. Someone else keep a tally. I forgot to keep a tally on bluffs versus value. But yeah, our opponent had a hand that absolutely would have called, and we left another €9.64 on the table. 50-0 again. The villain limping, and his stats seem to be irretrievable. Don't know where they are. Nothing much you can do about it. Do I remember my name? Shouldn't do names, really. It's a bit rude, but do I remember my name? Yes, I do remember my name. This guy is a pretty big whale. He's like, my read on him is he has some raises pre, but he mostly plays limps. Post flop, I might not have had this read at the time, but I have it now. If he has a piece, he just bets quite big. If he doesn't have much of a piece, he just min bets. Took me a while to figure that out. Well, not a while, took but longer than it should have to figure that out. But yeah, I'm more familiar now with him than I was then. He uses this size. This to me now, based on my read on him now, is that using this size, he likely has a better hand than ours, or just like a very strong draw, like the ace of diamonds or something like that. But I was just not in the mood to fall to this guy. He was like relentlessly aggressive post flop. Pre flop, not so aggressive. Post flop, just like relentlessly just clicking buttons. Turn, he bets big again. Then knowing what I know about him now, that I would turbo fold this hand. I would just turbo fold it because he's got a very reliable sizing tell. But I didn't know that at the time. Call again. River is a diamond. He bets half pot. I mean, I'm going to call here, and what the fuck am I doing? We know I'm going to call. This is not good. This is just me overreacting to an aggressive whale who I don't have a read on yet. My only read was, fuck me, this guy never stops betting. That was my only read. My read hadn't developed. But this is just a fold against everybody, really. Bad call, Rich. And of course, he had two pairs. That is not good. There's no way I'd have made this mistake against his opponent. I would have just folded the turn now. I'm pretty familiar with how this opponent plays. I wasn't at the time. I mean, I guess this is how we develop reads, get into showdown against people and see what the fuck they're doing. But it's an expensive way to develop a read. So we lost that one. Back to 20-0. We 3x the button. We get called by... Oh, we get small 3-bet by someone we have no hands on. We 4-bet a call. 2 10s on the flop. We bet... I think we can probably go smaller than that, actually. €10 in the pot. Sorry, €7 in the pot. He's only got 10 behind. I think that's... We don't need to go that big. I think we can literally just go like a euro here, euro 40, something like that, and just go a small shove. Don't need to go that big. He calls. River, turn is a jack of spades. We now have an SPR of 0.5. No idea why I didn't go all in there. Maybe he's just trying to do some bluffs. Maybe it's like, fine, I'm not folding any rivers. Maybe let him bluff. Maybe let him value on himself. I don't know. I mean, this wasn't a check because I thought, oh shit, a spade's come. I'm scared. You know, we had an SPR that was like less than pot, and we have an open pair with a flush draw. So I guess this is just me checking back, trying to induce something from this guy. Obviously, we have an easy call, and he just had the ace king. Here we have 2 9s. We have a player who we don't know very much about, but he's played every hand so far. We 3-bet him. He calls. Jack, jack, deuce. Check. We bet. Again, I don't know why this size is just too big. There's no reason to bet this size. I mean, I guess this guy's probably a whale. I guess I'm just trying to extrapolate some extra value from his like smaller pairs. Either discourage him to float with like ace highs, king highs, queen highs, etc., or charge him if he's someone who floats too much. Just charge him a bit extra. This size probably shouldn't be this big though, but maybe it's fine against a whale or someone who's potentially a whale. Queen on the turn. That's not a good card, I don't think. Check, check. I mean, it's not a terrible card. It's not an ace or a king, but we don't know enough about this guy. I think betting there would be too thin. Don't think we get enough worse hands to call, even against a whale. River, he just goes all in. So it's been a 3-bet pot pre. We bet 40% or 35%, whatever it was on the flop. He's called. Turns gone check. Now he's donked the river. So what should we be calling with here? And I mean, this is where I'm a bit shit in terms of like how good or bad is my hand to call with. I mean, I guess we'd rather just have the red nines to like unblock backdoor flush draws. I don't fucking know. I could be talking utter bollocks here. Probably shouldn't go down this rabbit hole of conversations because I don't pay an awful lot of heed to blockers unless it's like a really, really close spot. And even when I do try and think about blockers, I'm not very good at it, so probably shouldn't even. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Basically, do we think our opponent here has enough worse hands that we can call with 9-9? For example, is he like just donk betting with air here after we check back the turn? Is he donk betting worse value hands? Is he like donk betting pocket eights? Is he donk betting ace king? You know, things like maybe that he thinks is value, like pocket sevens. I think it's a bad call. I think it's like 50 big blinds almost this call. And I don't think we need to make it, but obviously we know we're going to. He did have the ace king, but so yeah, we won the pot, but I don't think that's necessarily a really good call. On to the next time, we have ace jack. We have another player whose stats are unavailable to us, who's limped under the gun off a short stack, so it's clearly pretty shit. We get 3-bet, pretty large, by somebody playing 42-10. I mean, I don't know why I'm going to be in this pot still. I have literally no idea why I am still going to be in this pot. Because this is just a crystal clear fold all day. So what I'm doing here, I do not know. I don't remember this hand. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. Check. I mean, we shouldn't be in the pot. I guess just check back. This guy does c-bet 86% though. Maybe when he doesn't c-bet, we should just bet. No, he's doing a good job of repping ace king at the moment. Is he going to fold ace king if we bet? Who knows? Do we trust a 42-10 to check fold ace king to one barrel? It's not exactly a spot where we can barrel off. I don't think. Yeah, it's a bad spot, but I think, you know, looking at this hand now, given we see he's got an 86% c-bet, albeit over a small sample, I think we should just bet here. Just take one sizable stab at it. Try our hardest to make ace king fold, and if he's just got a better hand and he's trapping us, then good for him. I think we should just bet like 384 €4 here. Make him fold. He's there. We turn a jack. He now leads turn for half pot. We're just going to call, no doubt. River is a 6. He goes with half pot again. And again, we can't fold here, but we shouldn't be in the spot. And he just had a set. Quite remarkable. Really shit hand by me there. Really badly played hand. Just fold pre-reg, you fucking idiot. Why would I mean, it's just not in my playbook that normally. It's just not in my playbook to defend that hand pre. You're a fucking idiot, Reg. Ace deuce suited. We open 2.5x. We get a call. We flop ourselves a flush draw. We get a check. We get a bet, hopefully. Yep. We get a call. Turn the nuts. Spoiler, guys. I think we're going to win this one. We bet €3.50. Our opponent check raises us to 9.50. So against a green tag player here, which is my tag for fish, we've been check raised on a turn that can improve an awful lot of his range. And I think it's pretty obvious that we're going to call here. But the question is, should we just 3-bet now? We've been check raised on the turn by a fish. I don't think we should call here. I think we should just put more money in. I think it's a mistake just to call, but that's what we're going to do. River pairs the board. He goes all in. We obviously call. And he had Queen 10. So we got all the money anyway. But yeah, just fucking, you know, when we get check raise on the turn, we normally overfold because we associate it with just like incredibly strong value. It's one of your classic incredibly strong tells of someone's got a very strong hand. So when we get check raised on the turn, against a fish especially, we just no reason to call there. Just put the money in, Reg. I mean, as it happens, we won anyway, and what have you, but just put the money in, Reg, and just megaphone it basically. We have the King 10. This is a 20 in L hand with 3x a button. A villain 18 in the big blind cause. Untagged 25-18. Not sure why he's untagged. We should be tagging him as this right now. So that's what we'll do. Anyway, we flop ourselves 2 pair. Bet, hopefully. Check 2, bet, like it, call. Turn 6, total brick, check, bet big reg, like it, check raise. So this is like sort of comparable. Well, it's not sort of, it's very comparable to the last hand in that we've got a very strong hand and we've been check raised on the turn. Again, I think we should just go all in here. I'm clearly not going to because we know what I'm going to call a river. But again, here, I mean, if he's got set of 3, set of 6s, then good for him. He just gets all the money anyway. Maybe it's slightly less reason to go all in here because A, he's not a moron like the last hand. And B, there's less worse hands he can just call a shove with here. You know, maybe. I mean, I don't think he does this with. I don't think he has ace kings. He doesn't 3-bet pre. I don't think he does this with king queen, king jack. So maybe this guy is just repping sets here when he does this, and maybe it's just some random turn flush draws. So maybe there's more merit for just calling here than there was in the last hand. Anyway, we river the nuts, so it doesn't matter anymore. He goes all in, and we obviously call. And he did have a nutted hand on the turn, and he got sucked out on. Shame for him, but also fuck him. Yeah, but that's very different to the last one. It's not different in terms of like how the action went, but it's different in terms of like what villain type we're up against. So maybe shoving the turn there would have been pretty bad. When you're up against a reggish type player who's only repping sets and turn flush draws, then maybe you do just took the line we took. Who knows? Anyway, on to the next hand. Aces. We potted under the gun, and I'm presuming this is because of this guy in the big blind, just making larger raises with a whale in the blind when we got a good hand. Very exploitable stuff, but it doesn't matter because he's not going to exploit us. Anyway, we're clearly going to 4-bet. We do. And this guy calls again. This hand probably isn't going to be particularly interesting. Oh, we flop top set. Let's just rush through this one. Boring. Boring. And then he shoves the river and he just had a bluff and whatever. How absolutely enthralling. This is just playing 3-handed. This is just 3-betting 5-4 suited. Blind versus blind. I think this is bad. I don't know why I've done this. I think, yeah, it's important to have this guy's stealing only 43% from the small blind. It's important to like 3-bet pretty wide versus small blind steals, but does 4-5 have to be a 3-bet? I don't know. I don't know what my like 3-bets are blind versus blind. I haven't, you know, I don't use range charts. I haven't studied the spot. I probably should. In fact, I certainly should, but I'm way too fucking lazy and not interested. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This. Some people probably say it's fine. Other people say it's unnecessary. I think we could just call here with a very playable hand. But yeah, whatever. We didn't. He calls. We flop trips. It's going to be another remarkably interesting hand, I guess. We see bet. He calls. Turns a 9. He donks the turn, which is interesting, I guess. Doesn't make a great deal of sense why he would not have donked this turn. Do we raise here? Do we just call and let him bluff it off? I mean, it's obvious what we're going to do because it's a calling video. We know we're going to call, but I think this probably could be a race here. Even if it's just like a real shitty little click it back. I mean, if he's got like a better hand than us somehow, then good for him. He's getting all of the money. But if he is like doing this with some kind of draw, or he's just trying to set his own price with the made hand he thinks might be good, and just like just say he's got like, I don't know, ace 10 here or jack 10 suited or something like that. He's deciding to lead this turn with to prevent us checking back. Then if we just like literally click it back here or something like that, then what's he going to do? Obviously we're going to call, but I think there's maybe there to raising very small or just clicking back. River's a 9. Not ideal, but I mean, obviously we're going to call. And the guy just had quads, which that was nice for him. That was pretty nice for him. He obviously with the line he's taken, he's obviously thought I've got, he doesn't put me on a 5. He's just hoping I've got like aces, kings, etc. I'm not sure what I think of his line. I think it's interesting, shall we say? Because if I do have all those over pairs, I'm going to bet anyway. Then he just gets a check shove. I'm not really sure what our opponent was trying to achieve here with his line, but he achieved max value, so good for him. Here we are 3-betting somebody who's got those stats we talked about previously, albeit over a small sample, who I think is too active. This sample's too small to draw that conclusion, but it's a point worth making in general. We 3-bet, and opponent calls. Not ideal. We bet anyway. It's perfectly reasonable. We get check raised. Which isn't fun. I mean, he doesn't have any 5x, you wouldn't imagine. Calling 11 blinds pre out of position, maybe 5-6 suited, maybe 5-4 suited. Whether he should or shouldn't have them, I don't know, but it's possible, I guess. Would you check raise a queen here? Maybe, but again, quite often they probably just call. I'm too curious to do anything but call here. Turn is a 6. Our opponent bets half pot. We're obviously going to call. River's a heart. Our opponent shoves. I think at this point we have a trivially easy fold. Reg, you're a fucking wanker. If he doesn't have a queen, he just has a flush most of the time or something like that. And he does have a flush. And Reg, you're a fucking wanker. That river call is horrendous because like we're beating flush draws on the turn, and that's about it. And maybe some like weirdly played fucking. No, we're not. No, we're just beating flush draws on the turn and nothing else. The flush gets there, we pay him off. Reg, you are a cunt. Sadly, no stats here on Villain 5. We're playing 20-0. Where you're going to 4-bet. He's going to call. Where are those stats? We flop ourselves a top set. I remember this hand. This guy is a very, very like out of line, aggressive. He plays lots of tables, but I think he's shit. Frankly, he's just way too aggro pre-flop, and I think he's pretty shit in general. We flop ourselves top set. Yeah, I bet this size to hopefully induce a raise from him. Obviously, we've got the absolute nuts. There's nothing to protect against. In a 4-bet pot. He just calls. Turns to 5 of diamonds. He checks again. I check back. I know why I did it. I did it because I really I was obsessed with like getting this guy to bluff. But just bet your fucking hand, Reg. Bet small again if you want to. Just bet like fucking 1/3 pot again. Don't check back, Reg. River's jack. He bets 2.5x pot. I mean, we're just really, really hoping he's got 3 jacks here. We're all in. And he had the queen 10 off that he called a 4-bet with, which is why I go mad with the E shit. He's 3-betting queen 10 off from the small blind. I don't know. That could be okay, might not be. I don't know. Seems wide to me. And then he's calling a 4-bet. Yeah, so fuck that guy. But he won the maximum. He won the absolute maximum. Open the king jack here. Loose passive player calls in the big blind. We flop ourselves a pair and a good shot straight flush draw. He checks, we bet, he calls. Turn ourselves the 3rd nuts. He now leads out for half pot. We call. And then he goes all in on the river 4x pot, and we've got the 3rd nuts, and we should just fold because this is literally never a bluff. This is really atrocious from me. Really atrocious. I mean, we only have the 3rd nuts. And is it the 3rd nuts? Yeah, the 3rd nuts. It's just fold, Reg, you fucking idiot. And of course he had the ace 7. And I think that might be the last one. That might be yeah, that is the last hand. So yeah, with some pretty bad colour. Not great players, but they're not going to be great players. You know that. You know, when we're just calling lots of rivers and playing passively, we're not going to be. You know, we're not going to be. You know, it's typically going to be hands where you haven't played particularly well, I guess. I just thought I'd put this video out there just to discuss this topic because it's not one I discuss very often. Normally, it's just boring coolers and hands that I've played relatively straightforwardly. I think I've definitely made a lot of mistakes in this video. If I was still in the business of selling coaching, which clearly I'm not for obvious reasons, this would not be a good advertisement for my poker skills. So let's try and redress that balance a little bit by pulling up our results. So this is the month to date. Not a particularly attractive graph. We're up €200, so we can't complain. But it's not fantastic. There's been several big swings. These are all 15L swings. 15L games are decent enough, but they are relatively heavily populated by regs and then some whopping great whales. There's not many in between type plays. It's either relatively good regs and like huge whales. How are we doing with all in EV? Should be up a little bit more, but close enough. How are we doing for the year to date? This is just this one eye poker skin. So we played, I think we're just about 30 days now today. I think we last played a hand on Sky on April the 10th. So it's exactly 30 days today. In those 30 days, we've made €941, which is really quite pleasing. Above all in EV over that time, but again, not by very much. And then we whack the rate back on top, and we're up to whatever that is, €1,149. So it's going really well. So even though like that video is quite often showing the worst of me, generally speaking, you know, we can't argue it's going pretty well. And then that's just this month to take that off for now. Look at our win rates. So our win rate over 30,000 hands is 11 bigs. All in adjusted is 8 bigs. I think I can do better than that. I've certainly not played well in some points. We've had some pretty grim sessions lately. Like that and that were not fun. That's a hand that hasn't even made it. Just look at that hand with the giggles, shall we? See how we managed to lose that much money with this hand. We've isolated a limper. We've flopped top set. We bet small. He's called. We bet bigger. He's called. He's bet big. We've obviously gone all in. He's called. Yeah, the 4 deuce. That's how we've lost that pot. That's how we've lost that pot. That's a €75 pot as well, because that's 15L. So yeah, that was part of that. I think that was part of my Saturday night session from hell. I think that was, yeah, it was part of this one. Grim, pretty fucking grim, but never mind. So yeah, I really can't complain with how it's going. This video has not showed my poker skills in the best light. Hopefully we redeemed ourselves at the end by show. We got a pretty good win rate, although I genuinely think this could be better. I have not played well on certain parts. I mean, we lost 226 in that session. $226, not euros. And there was a few not great hands. I mean, again, we'll look at this one because it seems like a big pot. We've isolated a limp pair. We've flopped top pair. He's done. We've called. He's gone all in on the turn effectively. We've called because we have 2 pairs and whatever. He had 9 jack. Yeah, good for him. So yeah, we ran pretty bad against Wales on Saturday night. It wasn't ideal, but we can't just blame run bad. I didn't play great either. When you're having losing sessions like these, in these games like this, 143 in 198 hands and 226 in 700 hands. The games are soft enough where, you know, if you're losing that amount of money, you probably haven't played great. So yeah, I can certainly improve on this. But if this was like my win rate long term, then I'd be more than happy with that anyway, you know. But I think I can do better than it. So that's about it. We'll leave the video on the graph because I don't know when YouTube decides to pick an end screen from. But we'll leave it there because it's relatively pretty apart from this turbulence here. Certainly can't complain with how it's going. Really enjoying it most of the time. Yeah, I guess we'll be back. who knows when with the next video. But take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.